Unlike Greece, Italy has very few naturally good harbours. As a result, the Romans were not seafarers in their early history. They were farmers. On the western side of the Apennine Mountains, several small rivers carried rich soil down from the hills, creating a series of flat plains ideal for agriculture. Most early Italians lived on these plains. Near the centre of this region flows the Tiber River. Rome itself was founded on a cluster of hills overlooking the Tiber, positioned strategically on its southern side. Various peoples lived in Italy as early as 4000 BCE, but the most significant groups did not arrive until the Iron Age, just after 1100 BCE. Around this time, large numbers of Indo European speaking tribes migrated into Italy from the north. They spoke different languages, but all belonged to the Indo European linguistic family. One of these languages was Latin, the future language of the Romans. The Latin-speaking tribes settled in the middle of the plains on the western side of the mountains. The region they inhabited became known as Latium, or the Latin Plain. Though united by language and customs, the Latins were not politically unified. Instead, they lived in dozens of independent villages scattered throughout Latium. Over time, these villages became more sophisticated, and nearby settlements gradually merged. Ultimately, roughly 30 small city-states emerged. One such cluster of villages, located on the hills south of the Tiber, became the city of Rome. The Latins did not create civilization entirely on their own. They learned from neighboring cultures. In southern Italy, the Greeks introduced civilization after 750 BCE, when they began founding city-states along the coast. In Latium and central Italy, civilization arrived through a different group, the Etruscans. The Etruscans are somewhat mysterious because their language is still largely undeciphered. We do know that by 800 BCE they had established city-states and developed an advanced civilization in northwestern Italy, located across the Tiber from early Rome. Because the Etruscans were already urbanized and the Latins were not, the Etruscans were able to conquer and rule parts of Latium for a time. Around 575 BCE, a band of Etruscans crossed the Tiber, occupied the Latin villages near it, and organized them into a proper city-state. They built temples, fortifications, and even introduced an alphabet modeled on the Greek one. Some scholars believe they may also have given Rome its name, though this is uncertain. Although the Etruscans brought civilization to Rome, the Latins resented being ruled by foreigners. In 509 BCE, they revolted and expelled the Etruscans. After gaining independence, the Romans established a new form of government called the Republic. In the early centuries of the Republic, Rome's political structure changed repeatedly, but the overall trend moved toward greater equality among citizens. At first, Rome was governed as an aristocracy, similar to early Athens. Only members of certain noble families, the patricians, could hold major offices. Other citizens, known as plebeians, could vote in the assembly but could not hold office. Gradually, however, the patricians lost their exclusive privileges and plebeians gained more political rights. In theory, all Roman citizens eventually came to share equal legal and political standing. As in other ancient city-states, the final decisions on important matters rested with an assembly of adult male citizens. The Roman citizen body was known as the populace. Citizenship was hereditary, and in 509 BCE, the number of citizens was relatively small. However, the Romans were far more generous in granting citizenship to conquered peoples than the Greeks ever were. By 250 BCE, Rome had around 200,000 citizens, 4 or 5 times the number Athens had at the height of its democracy. Even so, the power of the populace was limited. Citizens could vote only yes or no on proposals presented by magistrates, the elected officials of the state.